Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called, Check the Property Line Before You Build. So a few years ago my uncle wanted to add an extension to the side of his house where his yard went around the side a bit. He asked the neighbor, who is actually a really lovely older man. He said, sure, feel free, and my uncle started to work. Unfortunately, the neighbor got ill and his demon seed started coming over, and when they saw that my uncle was building close to the neighbor's side yard, they were furious. They immediately asked him to stop, which my uncle did, and they insisted that he was building on the neighbor's property. Now my uncle is a really nice guy, so to avoid any issues, he offered to buy the part of the yard he was going to extend to and offered a reasonable £5,000 for it, as it wasn't that big of a patch. The children of the neighbor got greedy and refused, so my uncle, being a gentleman, doubled it and offered $10,000 as he thought it was easier than going through the hassle of lawyers and property lines, etc. But they still refused. You are crossing my dad's property line and you can't build on it. Either give us more money or stop building. We want to sell this house when he's gone. As expected, they were waiting for the sweet neighbor to be gone so that they can sell his house. I think $10,000 is fair enough. I'm not using up that much and it's still close to my part of the property. No, it's not. Check the property lines. You are way past our property line. Offer us more money or stop building. Are you sure you don't want to take the money? Not for what you are offering. Check the property lines. So my uncle complied with their wishes and stopped all building work. It was on their property after all. Or was it? This is where the malicious compliance comes in. He did exactly what they asked him to do and got the original plans for both properties. He checked the property lines to see how it was divided. And wouldn't you know it, he wasn't on their property line, they were actually on his. With a massive smile, my uncle went to the neighbors the next time the neighbors' children were around and kindly showed them the plans of the properties, clearly showing where the properties were divided. Their faces, when they realized they had not only missed out on an easy £10,000, they had, in fact, lost their dad about a quarter of this yard, must have been priceless. They had to move the fence and my uncle got to build his extension stress-free. If you want to build and the neighbor's kids insist you should check the property lines, do it. You might just save some money and gain some land. The next story is called, You Want a Bus That Takes You Close to This Station? I was coming home from the post office today. I just got off the train and now was sitting in the back of the bus, parked by the curb behind another bus. That's when she appeared, the star of our story. She asked the bus driver very loudly, "Excuse me. What bus do I take to get to this event? There's an annual event going on in my city that lasts roughly 2 weeks. There are no buses that take you to the event grounds. You can take the train and switch train lines to get there though." "No. I need a bus that goes there." "There's no bus that takes you directly there." This goes on for about 2 minutes. The whole time the bus driver has been trying to explain to the woman that it's faster and more convenient to just take the train into the city and switch train lines downtown. But she doesn't want to, for some reason. I think, at that point, the bus driver has had enough. As afterward, the bus dropped me off 2 stops prematurely from my stop before it went out of service, so I'm guessing the bus driver just wanted his shift to be over and wanted to just get rid of her. I need to take a bus that at least takes me close to there. You see that bus in front of us? It'll take you to this station. It's on the same train line as the event station. Just take this bus there, then take the train down. That bus was about to leave before our bus driver honked on his horn multiple times to get the other driver's attention to stop before it fully left the curb. She ended up getting on the bus and it went off. It took me at least a minute to realize he sent her on a bus that does take her close to the event station. However, that bus is a 2-hour ride, as it does loops around multiple neighborhoods, roundabouts, industrial and commercial areas, combined with the fact that we are on the northeast side of the city, and the event is in the southeast side. What would have been a 30-minute train commute turned into a 2-hour commute. You should have just taken the train, lady. The third story is called, 7 Items or Less. My dad was holding his annual 4th of July cookout when the disaster struck. He was low on cinnamon. He takes his barbecue rub very seriously, and this would not do. He needed to prepare the food and my mum needed to watch my little sister. And my older brother was in the middle of an overly competitive frisbee game. I didn't have anything to do but waiting for my girlfriend and her family to get there in an hour, so I was the one drafted for that most horrible of tasks, going to the grocery store on a holiday. I dodged the army of dads doing last-second shopping for cookout essentials, grabbed the cinnamon and head to the express counter. Every other line is packed with dads loaded with hundreds of items to a cart, and there's only one 7 items or less express checkout open. There are only 2 people in front of me, a dad type and a grandma type. This is where the drama erupts, as the old lady notices that the dad type has 8 items. You don't belong in this line. You have too many items. Sorry. I'm in a rush and 3 of these are doubles. 8 is more than 7. Those are the rules. Go to the regular line. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes in another line over one item. This will only take. She interrupts him. I don't care. Do you think rules don't apply to you? Get out of this line. Look, I would have been done by now. Get out. Or I'm calling the manager. He sighs and takes a bottle of soda off the conveyor belt. The old lady smirks a satisfied smirk and the guy has his groceries scanned and pays. And then he picks up the bottle of soda and said, I'd also like to pay for this. The cashier starts a new transaction, rings him up for his single item, and he pays and leaves. He only wound up delaying old lady and me by less than a minute, but the look on her face when she realized what he was doing was priceless. The next story is called, You Told Me to Go Ring Out Customers. I recently picked up a second job at a grocery store to give me some extra cash. I love my main job, but it doesn't pay well. At this grocery store, my official job is checking the shelves and putting in orders for things that are low or sold out. I'm still in training right now and will be for another 2 weeks, at which point I will be taking over for someone going on maternity leave and will be working her job for the next 6 months. Now, at this particular grocery store, every employee is trained on how to run a cash register. The reason for this is that the store likes to employ the bare minimum of cashiers, and if there is a rush of customers waiting to check out, they will call other people to help check customers out during those rushes. Meaning people have to drop whatever work they are doing and go up front to ring out customers if they are called. Because of my job, I am considered a second call. Meaning I don't go up for general calls of cashiers come to the front, they have to call me by name or job title specifically. About a week ago, I was doing some training with the lady I'm going to be filling in for. That particular day, she was teaching me a rather important part of the job, like cancelling automatic weekly orders for that week if, for whatever reason, we have way more of that product than we should have. But also on that day, I kept getting called to the front by name to go ring customers out. This meant that my training was going slower than expected. This is a problem, because I have to spend a specific number of hours training for each part of my job, and going up to ring up customers doesn't count as part of the training time. I point this out to the manager on duty and he tells me, if you're called to the front to ring out customers, then you drop whatever you're doing and go up front to ring out customers. When I told the woman training me that he had said that, she told me, we will play by his rules then. She started documenting my training time to the second. As expected, by the end of my shift that day, I was nearly an hour short of the training time I needed. Meaning I failed that day of training and had to redo it all again the next day I came in. And because of how close the maternity leave was, that meant both me and my trainer had to come in on an off day that week, earning 8 hours of overtime pay each in the process, to redo that day's training. Today I got called in by the store supervisor to ask why this had happened. I just told him, the manager told me to go ring out customers. And since the boss couldn't deny that as my trainer backed me up on it, they had to pay both me and my trainer that overtime pay and couldn't write us up over it. Both the manager and supervisor also got chewed out over it by the regional supervisor, and I'm sure the policy will be seeing some changes soon. The last story is called, You Want It All. I work in a children's hospital and my job is to send progress notes to insurance companies to convince them to pay for children's cancer treatments, because apparently that's something you need to do. Most transactions work the same. I fax the insurance company the notes and they fax us back something saying, yes, this patient is approved for those days. Please fax notes again in 4 days. There's one local insurance company that we deal with a fair amount that is just the absolute worst. They send fax after fax with incomplete information on it, with no information, with wrong birthdays so that we can't find the patient, etc. They've occasionally sent faxes with no other identifying information than their own file number for the patient. They send denials for the stupidest things, usually because they didn't receive the notes until I call them and say, we sent it yesterday at this exact time. I have a confirmation that it went through if you'd like the number. Oh, there it is. Anyway, we've had a patient of theirs here for literally hundreds of days. They typically send approved or denied days every couple of days. But for this patient, we got approved days the first week or so, but nothing since then. I call them about once a week and say, did you get the notes I sent? Yes? Then can you fax back approved days? They always say, it's pretty much approved, or I'll send your request to the case manager. But I never hear anything back. I think the case manager that started this quit and the case is just in some weird bureaucratic netherworld. More likely every other case manager doesn't want to do it because they'll have to review everything. This patient discharged last week finally. She's healthy. And so I need to know the status of those days so that I can close her out on my list. I call the company and say, this patient that I've been calling about, I really need an actual fax with an actual authorization number so that I can close this and not gamble a multi-million-dollar account on someone saying I think she's approved. The woman on the phone still balks and I say I really need it faxed today. That every day of this has been sent over the past 10 months. She starts getting frustrated and says she'll call me back. I tell her that's been told to me before and no one has called. She says, fine. Just refax the notes for the days you don't have. I've already faxed everything. Well, I don't see it and it would just be easier for you to fax them again. I've already told her how many days were missing, but I was tired of dealing with her and I had time. So I spent the next 45 minutes going through this patient's chart and putting all of the notes for almost the past year into one document that totaled over 150 pages and faxed it to her. My hospital is pretty nice and modern, so although we deal with faxes every day, we don't have a fax machine but a program that collects everything, much easier. Apparently this small insurance company still uses paper faxes because about 20 minutes later, I get a call from someone else there asking me to cancel the fax I sent because it's been 30 minutes and it's only on page 20 or so. I say that I cannot cancel the fax because I've been requested to send everything. She hangs up. Another call comes from them a minute or so later, but it's my lunchtime so I ignore it and go about my merry way. I get a fax from them later that afternoon that just says, all days approved. Case closed. I hope I ruined their whole day. Especially since they're terrible and are apparently too stupid to know how to cancel a fax from their side. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.